Oh, Doctor, just what I want to see. So, any chance that Kellen and Josh can play in this upcoming Champions League final?
None, they're both out long term.
They're both out. What do you mean? Kellen can't be that serious. Like, seriously, we didn't even play him the last game.
Hip injury, out 5 to 6 months.
What, 5 to 6 months? He's out for the entire season, pretty much. Oh, for God's sake. What about Josh? Because he didn't seem that bad when we played him in that Coastal game.
He's broken a finger.
Broken finger.
Out for 2 months.
Okay, so he's gone as well.
Yes, unfortunately.
Awesome. 2 of our key players out. Thanks, Doc. Why do I bother resting these players if they get injured anyway?
The party in the streets and the city's on fire.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 51 of the New Zealand Builder Nation here on Shaun Does FM with both the All Whites and with Cashmere Technical. And coming up today, it's the OFC Champions League final for 2029. Hopefully this time we can beat Auckland City and maybe make our way to the Club World Cup later this year. And also we might sneak in a Chatham Cup first round tie against Western Suburbs as well. So if you're looking forward to our first Champions League final of the save, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But off the back of yesterday's episode, which was the semi-finals where we took on the Henderson Eels out of the Solomon Islands. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Have played 2 games in the Southern League and also got a lovely bit of kit, including thumb holes in the sleeves, which is very nice indeed. Hopefully it's a sign we're going to beat Auckland City and pick up the Champions League after only a year or so that we have spent here at Cashmere Technical. Of course, Auckland City did beat us last season in the National League Championship Grand Final. Up until that point, we were undefeated, lost our final game, but at the start of the week, we actually beat them 3-2 in the Charity Cup, the pre-season cup tournament here in New Zealand. So hopefully can do something similar here, even though this one is at their new home ground in the Ramon Triboulet Arena, and pick up the club's first ever Champions League, albeit a few injury concerns, as you can see, going into this game, which is not ideal one from both those games that we have played off the back of yesterday's episode. First up, picked up a 3-1 win away over Ferrymead Bays. It did take us a while to score in this game, but Michael James Gilbert got us going just past the hour mark, and then Jamie Fletcher with 2 really good first-time finishes from outside the box in the second half, either side of a goal back to Joe Ling did make sure we picked up that 3-1 win. A little bit frustrating, we conceded our only shot on target, but the bad news from this game, Cullen Elliott at the half-hour mark, he picked up a hip injury, or groin injury it says there, hip injury. Once we make our way over to the screen, he's out for 3 to 5 months, so it's a massive injury for him. Yet again, can't feature in a big final against Auckland City. And off the back of that, actually played a pretty close to full rotation when we took on the Coastal Spirit, picked up a comfortable 5-0 win, as you'd expect against the team by rock bottom of the Southern League. But Josh Hawkins, we did start in goal, our first choice goalkeeper, the only first teamer who played in this game. As you can see, the rest of the players are all rotation ones, but he broke his finger. So our first choice goalkeeper is also out now for 5 to 7 weeks. So 2 big injuries to come out of those 2 games that we have played off the back of yesterday's episode, which is a real bummer because no suspension concerns going in to this final. That's one of the reasons we made a few changes going in to that second leg of the semi-final in yesterday's episode, but hopefully still enough about us to pick up a win in this final. It does mean that we've got Julian Pike, who will start at right back, and young Mark Anderson, the player that we signed off last year's OFC Champions League winners in Western Suburbs. He will start in goal. Decent enough, not too much of a downgrade in both those positions. Hopefully this is where our squad depth can shine through over a team like Auckland City, who, based on season preview, we should be beating. We'll show it to you guys. We are red hot favourites for the National League. Just 2 players not at our club who are not in that Dream 11, so we really should be winning this Champions League based on that. Hopefully we can get the job done and get some proper revenge on these guys for that National League Championship Grand Final win that they did get last season at Sky Stadium, even though, as I said, this one is away from home, but hopefully a chance for us here to pick up the first Oceania Champions League for Cashmere Technical, and without any further ado, we'll come back shortly from Auckland City's new home ground and play the 2029 OFC Champions League final. And here are the team sheets for our first OFC Champions League final of the save year. Auckland City still going with a 4-2-3-1, quite similar from the team they did put out in that Charity Cup at the start of the season. The under at left wing has been a real threat and a pest to us in this save so far. Those changes we mentioned earlier, also Tuluvi at right wing. That is because Paquette, heavy workload, the same applies to Al Ghazali, so Gilbert can start up front over him, could risk them, but we'll play things safe and introduce those players off the bench if we need to. But early highlight here to the blue team, who of course are at home here at their new arena. Interesting to see that they've got that already in the save, but the under floats that one far post. Bauman gets him behind our defender there in Jose Pedro, I think that is, and it's a really dreadful start here away from home. Bauman makes it 1-0 to Auckland City early, and hopefully this won't go the same way as that National League Grand Final did last season. That is a really poor bit of defensive work there from Jose Pedro, and it's a shocking start for Anderson too, getting beaten there from a header into the ground. We go 1-0 down early. And we go forward to the 15-minute mark for our next highlight. Thankfully, looks like it might be in our favour, because so far Auckland City have been the team on the front foot, but not too fast. Poor pass there, and Auckland City do get on the ball and pretty swiftly do make their way into our half. Ukic can find the under. He finds Mikado right on the edge of the box, plays that back to Stipe Ukic. That shot takes a big deflection. It must have, otherwise Anderson having a really poor opening 15 minutes in this game. We're going to berate our guys because this has been a dreadful start. 2-0 down after only 15 minutes in a big game. Please don't tell me we're going to bottle this one again. It has taken a deflection, but even then, some pretty average goalkeeping. But Auckland City strike twice early in this OFC Champions League final. And just gone past the half-hour mark when we get our next highlight of this game. Starting to get a few shots off, thankfully, but so far, none on target. Auckland City, definitely the team still on the front foot. Good chance there, it looked like for Shusha, but unfortunately, that ball had a bit too much on it. Connor Tracy, of course, saved a big penalty in that National League Grand Final last season. Can come out and claim that. He'll try and pump this one deep down their left-hand side, looking for DeAnder, but good work there from Janssen to control it. Then Kerwin with a bit of an average pass, but thankfully we can actually keep hold of the ball here. Fletcher, he can find, I think it was Dirty Dom now. Tuluvi will get a good chance, but that one comes off the underside of the crossbar. It will go out for a throw, and so far just not hitting the target with our chances. And beefy Auckland City still getting more chances than us, but hopefully the tide is about to turn. We were on the attack there briefly down our left-hand side. They clear it there to Auckland City, but now Jose Pedro is back on the ball as we do look to regroup and hopefully can at least grab one goal back here before halftime. Nice ball over the top there for Shusha. He picks out Gilbert, who will put that one home, and thankfully we do get a goal back here before halftime. He goes off there in front of the Cashmere Tech fans, who no doubt have made their way up in big numbers from Christchurch for this one. But Duty Dominic there, nice ball over the top for Shusha, and thankfully Gilbert, he was onside and beats Connor Tracy into that bottom left corner and makes it 2-1. We'll just see how close this offside call was. Thankfully, they're pretty even, so the goal, it does stand. No VAR, of course, down here in these Oceania competitions. That's 2-1 now. Hopefully a chance for us here to get this back to all square before halftime. Tuluvi on the ball, plays it out to Young Pike, of course, in the team because of that injury to Cullen Elliott. Good chance there for a header to Shusha, but unfortunately that one also comes off the woodwork. So the woodwork coming to the rescue here of Auckland City a couple of times in the first half. We'll see if any more chances come from this highlight. Tuluvi tries to float that one far post, but Tracy, he can claim that. Starting on the front foot, but still 2-1 to Auckland City, albeit another highlight here before we can make our way into halftime. Poor pass there from Ben Minna. Duty Dom to Johnson now. Gilbert, he gets in behind, he was off. And also that one yet again does come off the woodwork, so looking threatening. Our XG actually quite a bit higher than Auckland City, and a late chance for us here from a corner as well. Janssen takes the short Gilbert to Tuluvi. Janssen floats this one for Connor Kerwin, and that one across the face of goal. It's a bit messy in the box, but Tracy, big save in there to tip that one onto the post of woodwork, proving a big helping hand there for Auckland City in that first half. But unfortunately, we are 2-1 down, which is a bit concerning, but thankfully are building to this game quite nicely. Hopefully can run over the top of these guys in the second half. Just looking at some player ratings out there, and a couple of players aren't doing too well. Connor Kerwin on a 6.5. I think we'll take him off for Georgios Victoros, the former AFC Auckland man, and also Nathan Walker was thinking about staying him over to Luvi at right wing anyway. Hopefully he can prove why last season he was the National League Player of the Year. We'll give the guys a bit of a rev up and get the second half underway, 2-1 behind. And only a couple of minutes into the second half, the first highlight here is a goal kick in our favour, which Anderson does take short there to McGoldrick, plays it forward to Duty Dom. A little bit interestingly there, goes back to Anderson, but back to McGoldrick. We try and make our way here out from the back so far. Pretty unconvincing, but eventually go for Deshusha back there to Duty Dom, and now Fletcher will find himself in enough space to put this down our right-hand side. Walker now finds Pike in some good space here down that right-hand side. Tries to square it. It takes a big deflection. The Auckland City defence do not react at all, and Michael James Gilbert picks up a double, and now the momentum is really swinging towards us here at Cashmere Technical. That makes it 2-2, and still 40 minutes left. Hopefully can run over the top of these guys, as I said, late in that first half. But that's some really sloppy defensive work from that deflected cross from Julian Pike, and Gilbert makes it 2-2, albeit right off the back of that, there is a highlight here to Auckland City. Hopefully nothing too serious from this one, just FM trying to scare me and whatnot, but thankfully we've bounced back quite well from that terrible start that we did make here away from home, putting some decent pressure here on Auckland City. But now Mercado, ball over the top, and Ukic, too much pace there for our defence, but thankfully this time the woodwork comes to our rescue. That post there down the left-hand side getting a big workout. 2-2, 10 minutes into the second half. And 10 minutes on from those previous highlights, now it is Auckland City who are back on the attack here, still locked up at 2-2, but definitely these days a team who it feels like are on the front foot. Bowman, the first goal scorer, makes his way down the right-hand side, looking for Ukic. Thankfully, Victoros heads that one away. Now Deanda with an effort. It's found the back of the net, but Mark Anderson there with what looked like a pretty pathetic save attempt. Maybe losing Josh Hawkins is going to cost us in this Champions League final. Auckland City back on top here. They make it 3-2. Unfortunately, Walker couldn't quite get to that ball before Godden, and then Anderson just looks like he's too short for that. That's a pretty average save attempt in a Champions League final. 3-2 to Auckland City. And a few minutes on from that goal to make it 3-2 Auckland City, now Duty Dom, is playing quite well, is down to Red Heart Lapane. Will come on for him. Still 2 more subs left with 20 minutes left. And short off the back of that substitution after that goal, which did make it 3-2 to Auckland City because of Deanda, who else? He's been an absolute pest against us so far in this save since we have come to Cashmere Technical. A chance here for Ukic to make it 4-2. He puts it away, but thankfully the assistant referee did put his flag up there for offside, but defensively we're looking very shaky in this game. Lorenz, ball over the top. Thankfully Ukic was just offside, but it's fair to say Victoros is struggling out there, as is McGoldrick actually on a 6.4, so I think we'll switch those two around, and Nshingase can come on as the right centre-back for these last 15 minutes. Still 1 more sub left for the latter stages of this game, but while we're here, might be time for us to start going a bit more positive in terms of our tempo, and also we might play a little bit wider, be a bit quicker in terms of transition, and also play with a higher defensive line. The usual things we do when trying to chase a game, because Auckland City does feel like now getting on the front foot just a little bit more. Won't change the player roles just yet. We'll just see if that makes a difference as we're about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game. Oh, so far, no highlights, but eventually there is. It's a throw-in around the halfway line in our favour. Jose Pedro plays that for DeJohnson and gets it back. Nice ball over the top there for Shusha. Looks to square that one for Gilbert, but great work there from Genie to prevent that shot from coming off. And unfortunately, that still means it is 3-2 because Walker blazes that one over the bar. And now it's probably time for us here to use our last sub. A couple of players are down to Red Hearts. Gil Paquette can come on for Ahmed Shusha. That could be a big difference maker, the best player apparently in the league. So he can play right wing, Nathan Walker left wing. And also now it's time for us to go full out attack in terms of these player roles, both wing backs onto attack. Our defensive midfielder, he can go onto support, and hopefully something will happen in the last couple of minutes of this game. And also as well, we will go onto an attacking mindset. As soon as that happens, there is a corner in our favour. Nearly lose the ball out there to Deanda. Eventually we do, but thankfully no one's forward there for Auckland City. Does look like they might be parking the bus just a little bit. Pike plays that one forward to Victor Ross as we do look to launch again. Starts to lope forward, does the big Cypriot centre back. We do lose the ball there, but thankfully Nchingase is back to tidy that up. Now Fletcher, he will find Paquette, fresh legs off the bench. Nice ball over the top there for Fletcher. Flicks it on nicely for Janssen, but yet again the post does come to the rescue of Auckland City. But so far, that has been a big difference maker in this game. It's now about 5 shots, I think, of ours that have come off of the woodwork. And now it's actually a highlight that might be in favour of the home team. One more goal, and they might be the champions of Oceania as well as New Zealand. They're on the ball. They try and switch this one out left, but thankfully Anderson does come out and claim that so far, having an absolute shocker on a 6.1. So hopefully he's not needed too much more in this game. We can grab a goal to take this one probably into extra time. Lapane will find Fletcher as we start to make our way into the final third. Chance there for Paquette, but unfortunately Tracy is well positioned for it and does come up with a good save to keep it at 3-2. So far the goalkeeper's actually proving quite a big difference maker in this game. A corner going far post looking for the big man in Victor Ross, but unfortunately we don't make contact, and that's pretty average from Walker, not even trying to keep that ball in. But thankfully now it's another corner here in our favour. Victor Ross gets that one off, but unfortunately it just goes over the crossbar, and we are now running out of time. But thankfully yet another corner late in this game. Lots of highlights since we have gone attacking Janssen. He will find Pedro, picks out Michael James Gilbert, who will put that one away top right corner. He picks up a hat-trick in the Champions League final to make it 3-3, and thankfully, after a ton of sustained pressure there, since we did go attacking, we level this one up with only 2 minutes left. I think that would have been of injury time. Jose Pedro somehow finds its way through to Gilbert, picks out the top right corner, and completes a massive hat-trick. We'll encourage off the back of that and see if anything else happens. In regular time, it does not. So this one is going to extra time. Don't ask me how that's a 3-3 draw based on those stats. But hopefully, yet again, the momentum is back on our side. And we can just pick up this one in extra time. Because to be fair, the way the goalkeeper's going, don't know if I want this one to go to penalties. A couple of players down to red hearts. And we do have one extra sub that we can make going in to extra time. We'll just check who might be the best and worst penalty taking options of those players who are down to red hearts. To be fair, none of them do look that good. I think maybe smartest option here, I don't want to take off Jamie Fletcher being our captain, but Jose Pedro being a defender, I know he's playing quite well, but that might be the safest option. We'll take him off for Dominguez, the Argentinian left back. He can come on, so that'll be our last sub used as we start to kick off extra time. Locked up at 3-3 in this OFC Champions League final. And just shot the 10-minute mark here of extra time. We get the first highlight of this period. It is a free kick in our favour. Going to stay attacking because certainly felt like the momentum did shift off the back of that. Now Pike squares that one nicely for Gil Paquette off of the bench, and hopefully that's the goal to seal a memorable comeback victory here in this OFC Champions League final yet again in front of the Cashmere Technical fans. That makes it 4-3. Now usually I'll drop our defensive line back off the back of this to standard, start time wasting a little bit, but given how poor our goalkeeper's been in today's game, not sure if that's a good idea. Also, the momentum really has been good since we did go attacking and with that higher tempo, albeit a free kick now to Auckland City, and maybe I should have dropped it back because Anderson there gets beaten yet again. It's a very good free kick. Unfortunately, our free kick takers not quite as good, in particular Al Ghazali, the other two, and Janssen and Gilbert, actually not too bad, but Anderson gets beaten there, top left corner. He's really struggling on a 6.2, but unfortunately, the first real attack Auckland City have had since we have gone into an attacking mindset, and they do make it 4-4 from a free kick. We'll just now get in to the second half of extra time and see what happens. Hopefully, we can find a way to wrap this up because I'm really not confident in our goalkeeper on a 6.2 going in to a penalty shootout. No doubt Connor Tracy is on a much better rating, will demand more, but it does look like this one is going to penalties, and indeed that is the case. We'll just sort out this order and come back and hopefully somehow find a way to actually beat Auckland City from the spot. And then I've got the camera angle sorted out. We can start this penalty shootout. And first up it is us here, Nathan Walker, one of our more reliable takers in the squad. But unfortunately, Connor Tracy comes up with a big saver now. Mark Anderson We really need him to step up here. First up, Ben Meta, a centre-back there for Auckland City, but unfortunately gets sent the wrong way there. Does our young former Western Suburbs goalkeeper, the Champions League winners last season. Not too sure if he played a role in that, but it is 1-0 Auckland City. Now Gilbert, he will step up, hat-trick in regular time, buries that one in the bottom left corner to make it 1-1, but Auckland City do, of course, have that pen in hand, and here it is through Darbo. Anderson kind of walks forward, but doesn't try and make a save. He is rubbish. I might release him on a free if we don't win this. He's been absolutely terrible, and we are 2-1 down. Next up, it is Janssen. He will put that one away, bottom right corner, nice and confident there, even though Tracy did go the right way, but we are still one penalty behind if Auckland City do convert the rest of their chances. Next up, it is Piper. He sends Anderson the wrong way, goes top right corner. Don't know if our goalkeeper is going to be much use based on his efforts so far today. Next up for us, it is Lapane. I think we're done because Connor Tracy comes up with another big save. That penalty actually not too bad, I didn't think, but Connor Tracy just proving he is way better than Mark Anderson in this game so far. Also, the woodwork did help Auckland City quite a bit, especially in the first half of regular time. But next up, it is Lee. If he puts this away, it is game over. He hits the woodwork, so maybe I won't speak too soon about the woodwork helping out one team over the other. That keeps it at 3-2, but it does mean our last penalty taker does need to put this one away. And I'm just trying to remember who exactly that is. Connor Tracy, full of confidence, does go in between the sticks, but it's Gil Paquette, supposedly the best player in the New Zealand domestic system at the moment. Can the youngster put it away? Wasn't the most powerful penalty, but thankfully Connor Tracy didn't actually get a touch on it. It's a 3-3, but we need Mark Anderson to come up here with a save, or Auckland City to hit the woodwork or miss yet again to keep this alive. And it is going to be Rich, I think it is there, the name of this last penalty taker for Auckland City. Anderson goes to the right. It went straight down the middle. He's hit an absolute shocker in that final. And Auckland City do us again in a big final, and they have picked up the OFC Champions League, which to be fair is probably a bit more fair than the National League final was last season, considering we were pretty rubbish in the group phase of this competition. But considering how strong a favourite we're supposed to be for the National League this season, that's a really poor result. The goalkeeping performance, that was a shocker. I'm still waiting to see now what that rating will be for him off the back of that penalty shootout, but unfortunately missed penalty one early from Walker, and also I think it was Lapane who missed one quite late on for us. Don't quote me on that, not too sure, but definitely Walker, he missed one, and that proved quite costly because in the end Auckland, they only missed the one penalty, we missed two, and just some really weird goals we conceded in that final do mean that we suffer a 4-4 defeat on penalties. Look at that XG. How have we not won that game in regular time or extra time? But unfortunately, no Champions League for us this season. We lose on penalties to Auckland City. So a pretty gutting defeat for us there in that OFC Champions League final of 2029 and a penalty shootout there up at Auckland City. Really not happy with our goalkeeper performance in that game. We'll try and find Anderson because I thought there he had an absolute shocker. I know we had no other options because Matt Ford, our usual backup, he's also currently out with an injury. He is 5 to 11 days away, so he was our only goalkeeping option. He has had an absolute shocker. Good potential, but maybe we should let him go on a free. We shouldn't really, because he's actually about to head off to the Under-20 World Cup with the All Whites, which is a bit funny off the back of that performance, but that was so costly, his first start here at Cashmere Technical, and it was a big factor in Auckland City picking up that Champions League title. We'll see if that means that they are off to the Club World Cup later this season, but certainly I don't think we'll be unless something really weird happens in terms of how teams do qualify for that. But there's the confirmation. Auckland City, the champions of Oceania, as well as New Zealand. And we've gone for the week off the back of that gutting loss there in the OFC Champions League final. Still not sure how we've lost that based on the XG. Thankfully got back on track when we took on Selwyn United in the Southern League. Picked up a 4-0 win there. Very comfortable. Goals to Al Ghazali, a double to Shusha, and also one in the second half to Phuket. So thankfully, still in a very strong position in the Southern League. There's what the Northern League looks like. Auckland City on top, as you'd expect, being the champions of New Zealand, as well as Oceania and All Central League. A little bit funny, because Lower Hutt's actually a team who are affiliated with the Phoenix. They can actually go through to the National League Championship phase, but Petone actually on top of that league, and Western Suburbs and Napier City Rovers currently the teams that would go through to the championship, and we have 5 points clear of Dunedin City Royals, and a pretty decent gap already going back to the likes of Nelson Suburbs and Ferrymead Bay. So things going quite well for us in the league. Just can't quite finish things off in grand finals, it looks like, here at Cashmere Technical. But next up, we're actually going to take on Western Suburbs in the first round of the Chatham Cup. We did actually beat Auckland City in the final of this competition last season. And Western Suburbs, as well as being the club that we signed Mark Anderson from, which is a reason to try and bash these guys already, they were the Champions League winners last season, and it does look like they are off to the FIFA Club World Cup. I've just noticed that, so maybe it was last year's Champions League that actually qualifies you for the Club World Cup the year before the tournament. If that's the case, Auckland City, you're not going to the Club World Cup. So I suppose that's a bit of solace. At least it didn't blow our chances at the Club World Cup. We'll just see if maybe we can spot if that is something that is hanging next to Auckland City. It is not. So I think it's actually Western Suburbs will represent Oceania at the upcoming Club World Cup. But going into the second game of today's episode, where hopefully we can beat a tricky first up opponent in Western Suburbs and try and defend our Chatham Cup, we have got players away at that Under-20 World Cup. So it does mean really interesting situation with our squad. Mark Anderson, Connor Kerwin and my son are all off at that World Cup, and still both our other goalkeepers are injured. It's coming up from the B team. It is Robert Granville. To be fair, after that Champions League final, that might not be the worst thing. We'll see if he does as well as Mark Anderson, but to be fair, that's a very, very low bar that's been set by him. Hopefully a local lad can do a bit better, and also going to be rotating quite a bit for this game, seeing as it is a cup competition. But hopefully, despite the fact it's a bit of a risk against a team like Western Suburbs, we can pick up a win and try and bring the mood back up off the back of that final defeat in the OFC Champions League, and we'll come back shortly and hopefully make our way through to the second round of the Chatham Cup. And here are the team sheets for this tricky tie for us in the first round of the Chatham Cup against Western Suburbs. These guys are going with a 4-3-3, no names in there that look overly scary, but there we are. Thankfully, comes up as a draw for that Champions League final and not a loss, but a very rotated team. El Ghazali up front and Johnson in the camera with no Adam Does FM. Those are really our only first team players who are starting in this game, but hopefully we can pick up a win here as we try and defend the Chatham Cup. And a very early highlight in this game, it's a corner in our favour, and Dominguez will float this one far post looking for Victoros. Good save there though from the Western Suburbs goalkeeper, and off the back of that there was almost a penalty. Doesn't get blown, but an early chance, but we can't make it 1-0 yet. And we have to wait until just past the 20-minute mark for the next highlight of this Chatham Cup tie. It is Western Suburbs here who are on the ball so far on the front foot, like I was hoping would be the case in that Champions League final. Unfortunately, got off to a shocking start, one of the many factors in why we did not pick up that trophy. But Western Suburbs here, they do keep hold of the ball. Shearer cuts inside a little bit, but good work there from Johnson to win that ball back for us. Now Walker, who of course missed the penalty in that final. I'm still going to be really angry at these players throughout the rest of today's episode, but Dominguez now starts to make his way forward down that left-hand side. Walker will square that one nicely for Taluvi. Took a bit of a deflection, but he will still pick up the assist, and Josh Taluvi will grab his first goal of the season. That makes it 1-0, and hopefully now we can kick on here and deal to a pretty tough opponent in this first round of the Chatham Cup. Last season, pretty sure we took on some pretty average teams up into Wellington Olympic in the third or fourth round, but thankfully off to a decent start here. Josh Taluvi makes it 1-0. And going forward to the half-hour mark, and we are still on the attack here this time with a corner. Some good short passing, albeit Walker loses position there briefly, then offloads it to Giorgio Paras, and that is a wonderful finish from our backup defensive midfielder into the top left corner. That makes it 2-0, and that is a cushion goal, which we definitely could have used in that Champions League final at some stage. Unfortunately, saving it up for the Chatham Cup, which I don't think is quite as prestigious, but thankfully it looks like we might be going through to the second round in this competition, 2-0 up at the half-hour mark. And only a couple of minutes on from that, Paha screaming to make it 2-0. Now we're down the other end here as Western Suburbs are on the attack. Hopefully haven't put the curse on this one by saying that we're already through. Ball over the top there, but Granville does come out and claim it. Tries to play that one across to Victoros. Oh, my goalkeepers are so bad today. Why did Josh Hawkins get injured? That ruined everything. That makes it 2-1, and this is not good from Granville. Looks for Victoros here out on our left-hand side, but the ball is too far behind him. Shearer puts that one into an open net. 2-1, but thankfully, we're still in front. And just about to enter injury time here in the first half of this first round of the Chatham Cup. Thankfully, that goal there to Western Suburbs, which was thanks to our goalkeeper, the only real attack they've had so far in this game. A late highlight here in Tuluvi will thankfully put that one away, so it doesn't cost us too much. Gonna still be 2 goals up. Going in to half-time, Josh Tuluvi will pick up a double. Good goal that from a tight angle, from a pretty simple throw-in routine, some good short passing. Lapane back to Tuluvi, and good finish there to put that one past Emmings. And thankfully, that goalkeeping shocker won't cost us too much so far in this game. 3-1 as we do head into halftime. As you can see, they've scored with their only shot on target, which is a bit annoying, but considering how that came about, that's not too surprising. We might just take off here though. Johnson going in to the second half. We'll just keep him fresh considering no Adam does FM for the next couple of weeks. So Gilbert, he can come on, and we'll try Al Ghazali as a shadow striker for the second half, just see if that works, because I think we're pretty well in control of this game unless our goalkeeper has any more issues. 3-1 up as we start the second half. And it's only taken a few minutes for the first highlight here of the second half. And Western Suburbs, they are on the ball, so yet again, might have spoken too soon. They try and camp here inside of our final third. McGregor plays that one across to Flores down their left-hand side. They try and keep this so far, but McGregor eventually plays that one back to win. Now McGregor a bit loose on the ball, and Gilbert off the bench. Some good work from him. Nice pass there looking for Walker, but unfortunately can't quite link up. So Western Suburbs do now get a chance to build from the back. They pump that one deep there, but thankfully Stevenson can win that one in the air. Bit loose there from Western Suburbs off the back of that. And now nice ball over the top there for Gilbert, who'll pound that one away top left corner. He looks like he's in some terrific form at the moment off the back of that hat-trick in the Champions League final. That makes it 4-1, and that should be game over to Levy, it looks like, with the assist there to go alongside his 2 goals from the first half. But nice long ball over the top there, and Gilbert gets him behind nice and easily, bangs it top left corner to put us 4-1 in front. But only a couple minutes on from that 4th goal, now we're down the other end here for a free kick to Western Suburbs. Some bad flashbacks here from that goal, which did take it to penalties in the Champions League final. Thankfully that time it comes off the woodwork, which to be fair was also an issue in that Champions League final, but thankfully still 4-1 in our favour. Now down the other end for a corner, and Georgios Victoros this time puts it away in the top left corner, and that makes it 5-1. Definitely what I'm expecting from him in this Cashmere Technical lineup. With his good heading and jumping reach, he should be a weapon from set pieces. Thankfully, that's the case here. 5-1, 10 minutes into the second half. And the action continues here early in the second half of this Chatham Cup first round tie. Now it's a corner down the other end for Western Suburbs. We kind of deal with it, but it goes back out there to Flores on the edge of the box. Some good passing there, and they find Delaney in a ton of space in the high. Delaney will pick up a goal there to make it 5-2. Hopefully enough of an advantage that they won't come back and pinch this one off us or take it to extra time. But that is good work from Western off the back of us trying to clear that corner away. Didn't do it too well. 5-2 with a half hour left. Albeit only a few minutes later, we are back down the other end now with another corner of our own. Hopefully can pick off Victoros again here at this near post. We don't quite, but now Gilbert outside the box plays it one across to Shaun Stride, and he'll pick up his first goal. I think that is for the club overall. It's a really good goal from there from right back. In fact, he might have scored one as a centre-back last season, but that is a good goal considering these days he's right back cover in place of the injured Cullen Elliott. So that's quite good to see Shaun Stride doing a decent job for us there at right back. He'll pick up a goal and make it 6-2 with 20 minutes left. And just about to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this game, and now Lapane has dropped down to a red heart, so we've only got one defensive midfield option out and out on the bench. Jamie Fletcher can come on for him, and I think we'll move Paris forward to the deep line playmaker for the last couple of minutes of this game. And in fact, right off the back of that, Paris has gone down to a red heart. So we might see what Ollie McGoldrick can do as a defensive midfielder. Jamie Fletcher will see if he can do a decent job as a deep line playmaker as we start to make our way into the last 10 minutes of this first round tie in the Chatham Cup. Thankfully, going to pick up a win here. And in the end, pretty comfortable one as well over a team as good as Western Suburbs up near the top of the Central League. And also, off to the Club World Cup later this season. So maybe Oceania should actually wait until the year that competition is taking place to decide the winner, because Western Suburbs don't know if they look like much chop this season, considering that was pretty much a full rotation for us there that have picked up a win, but thankfully we bounce back from that horrible first game in today's episode. We'll eliminate Auckland City and pick up a 6-2 win in the first round of the Chatham Cup over Western Suburbs. So thankfully we've put things back on track after we suffered that defeat on penalties in the OFC Champions League. They're winning the Southern League, and then we get past Western Suburbs and what could have been a tricky first round tie there in the Chatham Cup. We'll keep an eye on that competition throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, a bit of a bummer today's episode, blowing it yet again in a big final against Auckland City. Still not happy with Matt Anderson's performance in that final, but there you can see £500 for playing in that first round and $2,500 for winning. I'm pretty sure that doubles up every round from now, so it's certainly a good competition to have a deep run in. Is the Chatham Cup for club finances. Hopefully we can go quite deep in that and maybe pick it up for the second season in a row. But that will do it for today's episode, the OFC Champions League final. Yeah, we bottled that one, but thankfully got past Western Suburbs in the first round of the Chatham Cup. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. In terms of when we'll come back for tomorrow's episode, we'll just see what's coming up. Second round of the Chatham Cup isn't until mid-September, and off the back of that, there's that big old gap we have in the Southern League season, so we might come back off the back of this game next up against Christchurch United and take on the Dunedin City Royals. That can be a bus trip, and also they're actually doing quite well in their first season back in the Southern League, up in second, and then we'll skip forward and take on the local club in Nelson Suburbs. They're also quite high on that Southern League table this season, so it'll be a bit of a Southern League focused episode today, and there could even be the chance that we lift the title during that episode before we do head off on that break throughout most of June and July. So until tomorrow, 4 games against the Dunedin City Royals and Nelson Suburbs. Thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.